And we are back. We're still talking to Marcelo Reale, a solicitor from Brazil. So Marcelo, tell us a bit more about your company. Some people would rather work for someone else, wouldn't they? Because if you do a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you go home and then you leave everything behind. And they have like a life beyond work. Why would you decide to not do that and to be your own boss and, and wherever comes with that?
Maybe because I never liked that. I never wanted to work 9 to 5. I never wanted to have a stable life and go home and be have the type of life. Okay, I'm sure my money will be paid into my account at the end of the month. I never really liked that. I like a challenge. One of the reasons why I opened my firm was because I wanted to make it work my way. When I worked for somebody else, there were a lot of things I wasn't happy with. For example, the way some solicitors talked to the clients, or also because some of our solicitors were doing this 9 to 5 work. This is my job, I'm going home, I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Some of them did not really care about the client, or some of the clients would complain, oh, but I don't really understand my solicitor. He told me a lot of things, but it seems he's talking to the walls or to a judge or to a lawyer.
I know where you're coming from. I mean, it can be very technical, can't it, solicitor? And sometimes some laws is really hard to understand. So what you say is your way is to make sure you understand what your client wants and make sure you deliver that.
Yeah. Well, whenever you talk to someone, you need to select your audience. If I'm talking to my client, I need to speak the language of my client. No, I'm not talking about Portuguese or Italian or German, but even if I talk to my client in English, I'm not going to use legal jargons because I'm not talking to a judge. I'm not talking to another solicitor. So I need to ensure that my client leaves my office knowing exactly what the problem is, what I'm going to do, what can be done or what cannot be done. It's really frustrating when you seek legal advice or any professional advice and you leave the office of that person not knowing what's happening. And when I opened my firm, I wanted to ensure that that did not happen. Also, when I take on new staff and I train them, I ensure that they speak the language of my client. I mean, they do not use legal jargons. One thing is when you're writing a letter to the court or talking to the treasury solicitors or to a judge. Another thing is when you're talking to a client. The client is paying you and you have a duty to the client. Also, I've realized that not only solicitors but many other professionals, because they want this 9 to 5 job, they forget that they have a duty to the client. So if I have to go home at 5, okay, if I finish work at 5, but my client, my job demands me to stay beyond that, my duty to the client comes first. So that means, okay, I'm having dinner with friends at 7, but my duty to my clients comes first.
Yeah.
So I'll have to cancel my dinner. So if you show to the client that you understand the client, you make the client understand you, and you show that you care about the client and that you have a duty to the client and the client understands that, then you're going to succeed.
Yeah. So would you say that is your differential? Because you don't get to see that every week. You know, I think people's lives are so busy nowadays that and everyone wants to sort of like think they do have a life beyond work and to go home and sort of do something else apart from, you know, like to cancel your dinner, like you said. So would you say that is that thing that make you stand out from the crowd?
Not only that, because I also have a life outside the office.
Do you?
For example, my clients don't have my private mobile. Sometimes they ask me, oh, can I have your mobile number? No, that's my private life. And I never answer phone calls if the numbers are withheld, if I don't know who's calling. So I do have a private life, but I understand that my duty to the client comes first.
So there is a fine line in that. That's what you're saying. Make sure you're there for your client, but make sure you know there's a fine line between being supportive to your client, but also not people taking advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, some of the complaints, when I worked for the other firm, I was supervising a department, and some of the complaints that clients had from other solicitors or from other colleagues, paralegals or legal assistants, is that they felt intimidated by the solicitor. So
in what way?
As a client, you don't want to be intimidated by anyone. So when you go, I mean, shopping for shoes and you're talking to the shop assistant, you want to buy shoes. You do not want to feel intimidated by the person selling shoes. Or if you are seeking legal advice, you don't want to be intimidated by the solicitor. You want to feel at ease. You want to feel comfortable there. At the end of the day, they're paying your fees, and so we try. We avoid that arrogant attitude. Okay, I know what I'm doing. You listen to what I have to say, and that's what I'm going to do. Clients don't like that. They're paying your fees. They do not want to be intimidated by you.
So the bottom line here is customer service. Make sure you deliver a good one. So talking about customer service, it's been a tough couple of years for the British economy. The recession, 2008. I think the country is eventually emerging from the financial crisis, but it's still a very difficult time. How was it for you as a foreign country? How did you cope with that?
I haven't felt a recession, to tell the truth. As I said, when I opened my firm 4 years ago, I was the only person in the office. Now there are 12, and we're moving to a much bigger place in Covent Garden. But I do understand that you have to go with the flow. For example, when I opened my firm, we didn't do employment law. Now, because a lot of people are losing their jobs, there are a lot of people seeking professional advice because they have lost their jobs. So you need to move, you need to go with the flow. Also, customer service, you need to show you care. You need to be professional, and you need to have a high success rate. Our office has a very high success rate, and clients like that. They like to know that the person dealing with their case is capable of dealing with their case. They like to know they're in good hands. So you need to have a very good success rate as well, and we do have a very high success rate. We also have some other law firms in the UK referring very complex cases to us because they find them too complex, and then sometimes I look at the case, oh well, that's not really complex. You only need to put in a lot of work, but it's not really complex if you know what you're doing. So a success rate, honesty as well, because we have a lot of clients coming from other firms or from other offices. We tend to hear a lot of stories such as, oh, that solicitor made me pay a fee that doesn't exist. I paid a fee to the court, and oh, there isn't such a fee to the court. My solicitor guaranteed success. As a solicitor, I can never guarantee success. It's against the code of conduct. I can say you meet the requirements, you have a very good case, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one making a decision. So it's not ethical for a solicitor to guarantee success.
But some companies do work on no fee, no win basis. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Yes, we do that with some of our employment cases. But still, you cannot guarantee success.
But I guess in the sense it means like if things don't work out for you, I'm not gonna take your money. So I think that's something that for some clients will matter.
Yeah, for some clients, but at the end of the day, clients are worried about their divorce, employment, or immigration status, not really about the money. I cannot say, okay, if you have to go back to your country, which is at war at the moment, it's fine because you're not paying my fees. No, it's not fine because the client does not want to go back to Iran.
But I mean, we're talking
Iraq.
about different cases. Someone who is already here, who actually is a British citizen, and the money does matter for some clients, right?
But it does matter, but it's not only the fee. There are other implications. He or she might not be paying my fees. Let's say if I lose and say, you're not paying my fees. Okay, but I still need to instruct a solicitor to deal with this, and I'm going to spend time and money, and I've wasted my money, my time. So it does matter in a way. It's not only about the money, it's about trust.
How busy are you guys gonna be with the new laws? Actually, it starts now in April.
Well, work permit. Most people in the UK are not on a work permit, and it probably only affects 5% of the immigrants in the UK. Most people in the UK are here under different categories, either because they claimed asylum in the past.
But we will affect as well, and student visas, because I mean, what they're trying to do, they're trying to reduce it from say 150,000 people to 50,000 people a year. That is a huge reduction. Isn't it?
Yes, but it's still. I don't think it is the majority of immigrants in the UK. A lot of people will qualify for permanent residence because they're here as the spouse of a European citizen. So the cap will not affect them.
So they'll be outside the 50,000 under the immigration cap.
Also, family members of British citizens will not be affected by the cap, or people who have children who were born in the UK and are attending school and have been living here for a long time, they will not be affected by that. I think the government is trying to show they're doing something about immigration, creating the point system, creating a cap. The public, they like to hear the word, oh, cap, there's a cap on immigration, and I'm happy about that. But little do they know that the cap does not affect most of the immigrants in the UK. But it's true, it is becoming tougher and tougher. In all other categories. It used to be easier to claim asylum in the UK. It used to be easier to stay here on human rights grounds. It used to be easier to stay here as the spouse of a British citizen. It is becoming more and more difficult.
I have a question here. Can I just say thank you everybody at home for sending us the questions. I really appreciate that. So here is a question from Carlos Costa. He's actually originally from Angola, and his question is, I wanted to marry my girlfriend from London. What will I have to do to get permission to live in the UK, and what are my rights as an African citizen?
So Carlos is from Angola.
From Angola, he has a, I understand, a British girlfriend, and he wants to marry her. So he wants to know, what does he need to do in order to get permission to live in the UK?
Well, if he intends to marry his girlfriend in the UK, he needs to apply for permission to get married in the UK. The government is going to abolish the COA, which is Certificate of Approval for Marriage.
So you no longer will need to ask permission in order to marry.
They were going to abolish it in January, but they haven't. So it's the Home Office, not me saying this. They will abolish it sooner or later. It's just a matter of time.
Is there another deadline? Have they come up with a deadline?
Not yet. They were supposed to abolish in January, and they haven't. So as I speak, he would still need to apply for permission to marry. Permission to marry will be granted, provided that they can establish or satisfy the Secretary of State that they are in a genuine relationship. It might take 3, 4, maybe 5 months for it to be processed.
I was asking my guests here every week, what would you say is the key? Is the key quality or the key something that people have to have in order to, you know, be successful in life, regardless of what they do? What would you say?
In German, there's a saying which means discipline is half your life. Meaning discipline, you're halfway there. You need discipline, you need commitment. You need to work very hard, but you also need passion. You need to love what you do. And sometimes I stay in my office till 2 o'clock in the morning, but it's not work. I love what I do. And I don't mind working on the weekend. And you need passion, you need to love what you do.
Thanks very much for the advice. And just before we go, can you please give the website for anyone who wants to find out more about what you do?
Okay, our website is www.mreale.com.
And that's all we got time for tonight, I'm afraid. I would love to hear your thoughts at home, so do get in touch with us, excellence@tvmychannel.com. And if you'd like to find out more about us, do check our website, www.tvmychannel.com/excellence. I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.